Welcome to Never Rewrite. I'm Isaac Askew.
Dustin Rea.
And I'm Jeffrey Sherman. And today we're going to give you crazy AI stories. No, there's no giant overall thing. We're just here to make today. It's just for the giggles. So, Dustin, you want to kick us off? Let's give us a crazy AI story that's happened to you.
Yeah, I'll kind of start off with I think one of the more common ones. So I have an agency or a freelancing business. I work with several clients at the same time. I have my own work in linear as well. Of course, I'm connected to linear for different clients as well. There was a time, and this is I guess a case for why I think human oversight is still important, even in autonomous agent workflows. I caught my agent pulling context from my business and including it like in a client's like context, like to work on like a plan. Like it was including things that I just talked to it about in a different project. I don't know. I can't remember exactly why in this case it had that access, but that's what led me to the case of like they all have to be like in isolated VMs now.
Mm.
Was
But
that
yeah, the problem is the leakage of data.
was what it was talking about at least relevant? Like you were solving the same problem for multiple customers, and you had a
Yeah, it was more or less relevant in that sense, where like it was, I can't remember exactly what it was, but on like some of the frameworks that I'm working on, or like my starter kit, or it was something like that that I was working on. It was like pulling that context into the client, like to like use it already. And I was like, no, like this isn't, these aren't connected things. Like these are, there should be a wall
Hmm.
between these two things. Like that's, and I hadn't ran into it until I saw it happen, personally. And then I was like, okay, this is something we gotta, take really seriously,
I
because
haven't
that
run
could get
into
really
that.
bad.
I haven't
Yeah.
run into it yet, but I feel like I'm in danger of that because I've got multiple clients, right? And then like every company's got like a partner panel or like a
Right.
support panel, or like they're named very similar things. So if like I had two
Mm-hmm.
different clients and I was like logged into Linear locally, or it could pull from
Right.
Jira,
mm-hmm.
and I'm like, oh, fix the partner panel, and there's like an
Right.
ambiguity there, and it kind of like looks to what I'm connected to. Seems like I would have
Yeah.
to like log off and like log into a new Mac user for each session, almost to make it not pull from environment variables that might be related to a separate client or something.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's what I've been using VMs for,
Hmm.
which again eats a lot of resources. You need even a decent machine to do that. But I think there's some middle ground too. I don't want to get too far into solutioning, but one thing I've seen that's effective is one. I mean, obviously you have to not have your own environment variables. That's just a problem anyway. So having a separate Mac user does help when you're running those flows. But you can set like the MCP variables like in a specific like folder, and then it only will connect to the correct like linear
Hmm.
space. That was the trick for me, is that it needed to always, when it's working in that folder, it needs to always connect to the correct tools and only
Hmm.
have access to those tools. That was the solution on the tenancy leaking. Uh, and then of course, like if you have global stuff, like so I can talk about this one. I think this kind of gets into a more interesting one. If you're logged in on your machine just as a person,
Mm-hmm.
whether that, I think a very common one for all of us, even non-developers, is going to be GitHub. So like imagine the permissions that your GitHub has. Like mine
Hmm.
has like admin and ownership level permissions for several organizations. If my autonomous agent is acting as me, it has so much permission across organizations to cause havoc. So like one thing I had to do was make an agent have its own GitHub profile for the sake of I had to be guaranteed that it couldn't accidentally use my permissions.
Yeah.
And so like in the environment where my agents run, my keys are not in that environment. That was another one of the principles.
Right. This
Same
goes.
thing for like your G Cloud. Yeah, sorry.
Oh well, I can say this is again not a new problem, but it's
Correct.
exacerbated, right? Like it's if you if you're root or add, you're not supposed to run as root or administrator on your local
Right.
box. Even if it's your personal computer, you still shouldn't be root or
Right.
admin level. You should have a second. You should have a regular account and then an admin account. I mean, not that anybody does, but in theory, you should have that.
Right. Yeah,
Imagine
100%.
imagine your AI is a lower level employee that has temper problems, and then like
Yeah.
reflect on, am I happy that they could delete the repo if they got mad at me for firing them? Treat it all as a security concern. But like you said, Jeffrey, these are old problems anyway. Like the whole principles of like the least amount of permissions needed to get your job done as like a security thing. Not even if the employee does something nefarious, but if they got compromised and somebody was able to take over. This
Right.
is a good practice.
I have not had this AI problem myself, but I have in the past had, a work computer and being remoted in the days before everybody gave you a laptop, and committed code to the wrong repo because I was not where I thought I was.
Yeah.
And it's just like, whoops.
You ever been accidentally logged into the production database and thought you were in the dev database?
I have not, but almost
I've heard
every
that story. I haven't.
Yes, almost every DBA I know has that story of dropping production, but I have not done that myself.
Yeah, and again, it's the same problem, right? Like if you give yourself the keys to do some dangerous things, you may find yourself in a place you didn't mean to be. And I think the same is you should have even a stricter view of agents, and I think it's not just about even not trusting the LLMs themselves, but I think if you watch any amount of security news, you see all of these supply chain attacks, right? So like if your agent is pulling down NPM packages, and I've seen it's very common for especially vibe coders to have unpinned SymVar in their package JSON, so they're just pulling in like the latest package like every time they install, which is every time they do anything on CI or do a build, they're pulling in that latest potentially compromised package, because that's when the supply chain attacks happen. The package gets released, and then people download it through these autonomous workflows. Even if it's not an agent, like you just running npm install, it's going to put that compromised package.
There's a window before it gets noticed,
before it's patched. So if your agent is running against that and now you get injected into that prompt, it's going to start exfilling your data off of your machine. And if you don't have anything to catch that, or you're not in a contained environment, that could be your GitHub keys, that could be anything on your keychain, that could be whatever's stored in your passwords. Like all of this data could be essentially just taken from your machine. Not to mention whatever else it could get the agent to do on your machine, especially if you're not savvy to like what's happening.
Oof. Yeah. You're giving me fears. New fears.
Yeah, this is not funny, Dustin. These were supposed to be funny.
That's why I told you I started doing VMs. Hey, I told you. That's why I started doing VMs. You got to have some level of containment from these things, right? Because imagine the same that we're all now vibe coding all of these solutions and working at breakneck speeds. You don't think the attackers are doing the same thing?
Yeah, this is kind of, the idea of plugins getting compromised is one thing, but plugins of plugins too. Like when you have nested dependencies, and you were good about, taking care of minimizing the plugins that you needed and making sure they're upgraded, but the plugins you installed had dependencies and those people didn't. And so now you're still pulling in, nested dependencies that have the issue. And this has happened, I forget which plugin it was, but this happened like, 2 months ago or so, where everyone's like, okay, everyone, we have to archive our repo, make a new one because it could have been compromised, but we're not sure. Rotate all of our environment variables.
Yeah, I've seen it across multiple repos in the last few months, and it's the same thing. It scares me too, right? I'm working, and I'm responsible for client workloads, so I feel responsible to take care of those workloads. But I think as long as you apply these principles, you can protect yourself as much as you can. It may sound scary, but I don't think that it means not using these things, right? Because you're still exposed. Like it's not like AI itself is what's exposing you to these attacks. Like you're exposed anyway. Your developers could expose you. I've been exposed to several hacks due to contractors that just didn't mean to, so it can definitely happen.
I mean, there's a reason that the thing has a name. It's because it's not new. Supply chain attack.
Yeah, right? Yeah, exactly. So back to our topic. I think tenant isolation. I think we kind of covered that one really well. Connectors, I think, is kind of the same thing. Like, be wary of the connectors that you have, whether it's your Figma, your Linear. It's very, very easy to accidentally pull in. And I know a lot of people have multiple Figmas that they have access to, not just the single client or the single workspace that they're attached to. Like it's a multi-workspace account. So when you give your agent MCP access to that Figma, and to your point, Isaac, you say, go fix the portal, man, who knows what portal it's looking at? You need some type of verification step in there or some type of isolation. That's what's drawn me to giving them their own accounts. so I can control that access. Like you really only have read only on this one workspace. And then I know for sure it's them. And you can use like the email trick too. So you're just using like one email plus client name or plus tool, or, you know, and that makes like a systemized isolation.
That's a good example, actually. I talked about it in a prior episode, but I've run into that problem specifically, and it did kill production. And unfortunately, it was a side project that was like a hobby thing for me, and like 2 people saw it go down, you know. But it was a good thing to run into early on, so I don't cause that, you know, in a much, you know, worse case. But essentially, I had Vercel connectors set on 2 different computers. And I had moved I was trying to push up all the work that I'd done locally. There was some stuff that was kind of like, because I was tinkering around on my local machine, I had some environment variables set on my local machine and some other stuff and processes that were running on that computer. And I was trying to make it just all contained so I could clone it down on a separate computer and it could still continue working. And so I cloned it down on a separate computer and then told it to, you know, boot itself up and run migrations and set things up. And on my old flow, I had the environment variable, the local one, already populated with its values. And on my new machine, it didn't. And so it looked and was like, oh, I could see it thinking through. And he's like, I've got, you know, no local variable set. I see that this is a Vercel project. I see I'm connected. I see I can pull these values from production. And so it actually pulled down the value for the database, ran migrations, and I had a pinned version live. So the version that I pulled down from main was not the same as the one that was live. It ran migrations, and then columns were not there that needed to be there for main, which had not been released to this different version. So production goes down because there's a schema mismatch.
Then you have to roll back.
Well, I didn't roll back. I just pushed through and fixed it because it was a side project.
Yeah.
It fell forward. Because, I mean, but yeah, I could see if this happened in the professional world,
Right.
and I did that and brought down prod, that would be a huge issue.
Yeah, you'd have an incident report to fill out for that.
Yeah, and a lot of egg on my face. So, you know, I was glad I ran into that the first week of agentic programming. And I'm like, oh, okay, I really need to understand the power of, you know, it will try and figure things out. And even if you didn't tell it, it could do some crazy stuff.
Yeah.
Or at least then.
I've got one that's on the environment variable one that I've seen that actually shocked me. And I was like, wow, I can't believe you just did that. Like I didn't think you would do that. But I don't remember what I was having it do one time, but it for some reason it read the .env and then put the entire .env into the chat. And then like literally the next message, it was like, oh, oops, I just exposed all of your keys. You'll need to roll all of those. And I was like, thanks.
That's a funny one.
I'm so glad that I got to do that right now. That's what I needed in the middle of this project, was to just stop everything and roll the keys across the board, right? Like that's exactly what I wanted to do right now. And to be fair, like, right, so to give you like context, like this is a platform that has like a legacy platform, a new platform that's out. They have shared environment between them. It's kind of like in a transition period. So that's why I have those credentials locally. And it's just like, man, I can't believe you just did that. Like that's just cost me so much work. So rolling keys due to exposure, that's I got to imagine vibe coders and like everybody is being exposed to that, which is dangerous. Then the other thing I've seen that worries me a lot, this happened in G Cloud, but I could see the exact same thing happening in Azure or AWS, which is as the developer, you may have and may not even realize it. This is what happened to me. May not realize that you're logged into the CLI of a specific tool. It could be even Stripe that you don't realize you're logged into. And the agent has access to that. If you're not if it's not in a VM, it has your accesses. So what this one did is it went in and started looking at production infrastructure to like answer my question. Like what I was actually asking it was to like go look at the docs, like read the documentation on how we built the infrastructure and remind me, how this part works. And it's like, well, I'm just going to go check the actual infrastructure, like, just scanning this account. And I'm like, wow, it's got full write access. This is crazy. So I stopped that process. And what it made me think about is like, imagine if you were giving it a problem and it just started spinning up infrastructure for it. Like you could essentially have it build out, especially if you don't know what you're doing, to our last episode, it could spin up a bunch of scaling infrastructure for a platform with 0 users. I actually saw something like this recently, not this bad, but a smaller case of this. So you've got all of this scaling infrastructure and you have no users. And like the biggest the platform could ever be is a single box anyway. So you've got multi-box load balancer, scaling infrastructure in dev to test it to make sure it works, then duplicated in prod. So you're essentially running anywhere from 8 to 16 small boxes to do something you could do on
Jeez.
one box in dev and one box in prod, right? Because the AI recommended the best practice for scaling.
Or
Right,
you
to
did,
internet
maybe.
scale.
Maybe you said to
Right.
it, hey, there's an issue where this thing keeps running out of resources. I want you to fix it using best practices. And you're really
Right.
vague. And it goes
Right.
and spins up all that for you. Because
Right.
that was
And you
the
just
first
needed to
thing
like
for me
boost
being
the
logged
box
in
up,
locally.
you know?
Because that if you're logged in, like even AWS, that's the scary one too, where if you log in via the client, it saves those credentials locally. And sometimes the login, if you're smart, you've set it to expire in a short window, and we'll have to keep revalidating every 30 minutes. But the damage you could do in 30 minutes if it saw those credentials and you put them in an area that was already accessible to it, to spin up, that would be very scary to me. So again, thanks for all these new fears.
Yeah.
You're welcome.
Well, but they're not new. Like, you reminded me of a news article I read years and years ago where somebody had hired a company to move their car, right? And they didn't take down their transponder. And like they paid a flat rate of, come pick up this car and move it here and deliver it by such and such a date. And this car carrier went all over the country picking up cars and dropping them off. And this guy got a $400 transponder bill because his car just was going here, there, everywhere. And the car carrier was like, yeah, we put the car on there. We charge you a rate. We didn't say we'd go direct. We just said we'd pick it up and we'd drop it off by this date. And that's what they did. But the car, it went here, there, and everywhere, and this transponder was just like racking it up and it wasn't even for anything because it was the car carrier was paying the toll.
Right.
That's wild.
Right? Things, but it's to say like it's not a new problem. It's just making existing problems worse. Of hey, if your car is inside another car and it.
That's kind of the fear, I guess. It's like, imagine you on your worst day, like the worst thing you've done, and imagine being able to do that 50 times faster.
Right.
Yeah.
That's scary.
Yeah.
Limits. We got to put in those limits.
Zero trust is the buzzword, right? Yeah.
Right.
All the security people are like, hey. I told them.
Yeah.
I told them, man. It's all we gotta. Anyway. All right. Any more good AI stories, or should we put a pin in it?
Well, for the sake of getting this one out there, because I said it again in a prior episode, but it's worth saying for anybody worried now at this point about other things it can do. But I had a case where I forget what Google Enterprise API was using, but it was something to do with pulling like a location, like a venue, and data about the venue, like the contact details and whatnot. If you pull in basic information about it, you get billed at one like cheap rate. But if you pull in some other details, like I think it was the image, like if somebody uploaded an image or any reviews about any reviews somebody left for the business, some of them are billed at a different rate and they're considered part of the enterprise API for that. And I discussed with AI which one I wanted to use, and it told me what the rate would be. And I was like, oh, okay, this is like $40 to pull all the data that I need. But it actually included one of those columns, not realizing it was part of the enterprise API. And all Google does is just bill you for the API, the enterprise rate, if you include that in your query. That's really all it is. And so I suddenly I had this $200 bill on Google Cloud. And fortunately, it was on one of those accounts where I hadn't attached like a card yet. It's just like they grant you like $200 to get you using their API. Yeah, and so it was just like exhausted immediately from a loop it ran. And I was like, oh, whoa, what? And then I asked it, why did you do that? And it was like, oh, oops, sorry. Didn't realize that was part of the enterprise one. But I just imagined if somebody had their their debit card on file and I went to bed and woke up with a 10 grand bill, that I could see that happening. So that's again, I accidentally had a limit, right? I accidentally had a $200 one. Yeah. But I have also seen it try, like I got a random bill one day. It was like $200 bill for Claude. And I'm like, huh? And I went back and thought, I'd already paid that monthly fee. I do the 20X plan or whatever, so I'd already paid that fee. But when I looked, it was just an auto renew, and it was like doing a dark factory pattern, trying to, keep building things in the background. And I had it like auto renew, and I'm like, I went in there immediately and just turned it off, and it was doing what I needed to do, and I would have had to pay for it anyway, so it was fine. But I thought, I want to make sure I don't let it think, oh, this is the best way I should build it, but it's going to be expensive, but that's what the user wants. And then just starts like, I just suddenly see like 50 separate $200 auto reload charges when I come home one day or back from vacation or something. So another security limit we should place on ourselves. Turn off auto reload.
Well, and again, this is not a new thing. I have seen developers crush computers because they didn't put a limit on a SQL query and they pulled in 16 million rows. And it's just, well, did you need 16 million rows? Maybe you should put a limit there.
Even literal limit, in that case.
Put a limit of 10,000, even if you don't think you need it.
Right. Yeah. I imagine the amount of runaway queues that have been developed in the last 6 to 12 months.
Oh God.
There's got to
be last 2 weeks
several stories,
Agentic programming for runaway queues. Oh God.
Yes. That's a bill you don't want to wake up to. Imagine that, plus you also have something that hits tokens, like an API key, and then in a queue. I mean, you could really rack up serious bills doing nothing, and it could just be a runaway infinite loop process of processing nothing over and over again. And then you add auto scaling to that, you can really rack it up.
I'm going to be telling all my clients, do not give me access. If you do give me access, give me read only.
Read only. Yeah,
I don't want to spin up infra.
Well, but again, that's not a new thing. Like, always give the least amount of permissions necessary.
Yeah. No, but the amount of damage you can do that fast is a brand new thing. Absolutely.
Yeah. Awesome.
All right.
Well, thank you all for listening. I'm Jeffrey Sherman.
Dustin Rea.
And I'm Isaac Askew, and this is Never Rewrite.